Hi, I'm Rich Torrey. Welcome to another Level Up Cartooning. All you ever need to follow along with me is a pencil and paper. It doesn't get any easier than that, right? Now, before we get started, make sure you hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button as it helps this channel to grow, and hit the bell so you never miss a lesson. So we're going to continue our theme of drawing some of the characters from the first wave of anime shows to hit the US back in the 1960s. Last week, we drew the first character to hit the American TV screens, Astro Boy, created by the man often referred to as the godfather of anime and the god of manga, Osamu Tezuka. This week, we're going to draw two more characters that were created by Tezuka. First, in the popular manga series in the 1950s called Jungle Emperor, later adapted into the animated television series in 1965 called Kimba the White Lion, which, by the way, was the first anime to be produced and seen in color on American TVs. Today, we'll be drawing the star, Kimba, along with his father, known as Panja in the original Japanese version, or Caesar in the English dubbed version. Anyway, let's draw. We're going to draw our Kimba and Caesar pose step by step, giving you the secret formula to be able to draw them again and again. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I normally use the character's head to figure out how big the entire character is. In this pose, Panja, or Caesar, who we're going to draw first, is a little over 3 heads tall. In other words, however tall his head is, his entire body is a little over 3 of those tall, with his paws extending a bit beyond the bottom. Now let's talk about Kimba. For starters, Kimba's head is smaller than his fully grown father's head. Kimba is about 2.5 heads tall. In other words, however tall his head is, his entire body is 2.5 of those tall. Notice how the top of Kimba's head starts just below the top of Caesar's back, with the center of that head positioned nearly in the front of Caesar's right hip. Okay, so what do you say we get started with our roadmap for Kimba and his father Caesar, or Panja? So there's our roadmap for Kimba and Caesar. Now before we go on to step 2, I want to give you the layout of our 2 lions using simple shapes for those of you who want to screen grab. Just something to help you when laying out your drawing of Kimba and Caesar. Okay, now we're on to step 2. In this step we do what I call roughing out the features. I want to remind you that until the 3rd and final step, you want to draw as light as possible. You'll see that I use guidelines to help me position both of our characters' eyes, muzzles, bodies, and other features. We don't want those guidelines in the final drawing. So you want to draw them light enough to be able to erase them easily. Alright, so what do you say we rough out the features for our drawing of Kimba the White Lion and his father Caesar? Okay, so there are the roughed out features for Kimba and Caesar. So now with the roadmap done and the features roughed out, it's time for that final step. In step 3, we get to have fun. We get to draw in the final details of Kimba and Panja, or Caesar. We don't have to guess where to put things because we've already done all the hard work to figure that out. Now would be the time to take a look at your drawing while it's still lightly sketched out and fix or change things before you commit the drawing to those final lines. But even after you begin those final lines, you should still be thinking about how you might improve your drawing all the way until the very end. Okay? So what do you say we draw in the details for Kimba the White Lion and his father, Caesar? And that's how you do it. There you have it. From the god of manga, or the godfather of anime, or is it the father of both? Anyways, from the legendary Osamu Tezuka, Kimba the White Lion and his father, Caesar, or Panja. So how do you think you did? Understand if you've never drawn Kimba or his father before, you can't expect to have drawn them perfectly. You'll notice I don't spend time coloring our drawing of Kimba and Caesar during this video because I want my lesson to focus solely on the drawing process. But now you have the secret formula, the process for drawing Kimba and his father, Caesar. And with that, you can draw them again and again. And by all means, color them when you're done. I promise each time you draw them, it'll be a little better and a little easier. I also promise the more you work with me, the better you're going to get at all of your cartoon characters. So I'd love to see your drawing of Kimba and Caesar, or Panja. If you can, take a picture and post it on either Facebook or Instagram, and don't forget to include the hashtag #LevelUpCartooning. I hope you had as much fun as I did with this one. Remember to subscribe, and thanks for joining me. Until next time, keep drawing, my friends.